welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, what a wonderful day! And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hamilton.
And we have a very special guest with us this week, writer. And you know what, you guys, like, we're now becoming a podcast who only books Emmy-winning guests.
True.
Emmy-winning writer Hiko Mitsuzuka is here with us.
Hello, hello.
Hey, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We are here to talk about, finally, after, like, what is this, like 10 weeks or something?
2.5 months.
2.5 months.
Oofta. We're finally here talking about the reason why we started this in the first place, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
That's the only reason we did.
Okay.
That's the only reason we did. Wes Ball's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And so, yeah, this has been a long road for us. Very exciting to finally be here. But before we get too far into things, Elise, where can people reach out to us?
Yeah, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel at Sequel Rights. And then you can also email us, sequelrights@gmail.com, with suggestions about what franchises we should cover later this year.
And rate and review wherever you're listening. Stars feed algorithms. Feed those stars to the algorithm. Help other people find us. If you've already done so, share out some of your favorite series that we have covered so far. We might be revisiting some of those in the future. Maybe Bad Boys, perhaps Chucky. And getting more people onto those old episodes would be a fantastic way to support the podcast. Or just feed stars into a robot.
That too.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yum, yum, yum.
All right, before we get even further here and talk about the movie, let's talk with our guest a little bit.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm all right.
Thanks again for being here. Like, so what are you currently working on? I read you're working on a novel right now.
Yeah, I finished writing a thriller novel called The Final Boy. It's out in submissions, so let's see who bites and who wants to believe in it and sell it.
Fingers crossed.
Buy it, cowards.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It sounds great from the title already.
Yeah.
I love it's a thriller.
Oh yeah,
Love
it's obviously a gendered term on Final Girl
Yes.
slasher movies. So yeah. So
and you run a website called The First Echo.
well, yeah, that's like my personal blog site. The First Echo is all my social media handles. It's what my full Japanese name translates into.
So you're not like one of the few humans left.
That can speak.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, you might be, actually.
I was like, Eli sent over your website, and I was like, oh my God, he's the first
Echo.
We had just seen the movie, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
This is perfect. I love some of the stuff. I was checking out that song you posted for the Song of the Month, the Anyone But Him. Great track.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard it yet.
Yeah, it is a great. It's like going on my summer playlist. I make like seasonal, quarterly playlists of all the new music that I'm listening to, and it's by this indie artist called Z Machine. Highly recommend it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Very fun. Very good.
Cool.
All right, let's get into it. Are we ready for this?
The maze.
The maze. Time to run the maze.
Maze is
This
not for
maze
you.
is full of apes.
Are you familiar with the concept of evolution? In their time, humans were capable of many great things. They could fly like eagles fly. They could speak across oceans. But now it is our time, and it is my kingdom. We will learn. Apes will learn. I will learn. And I will conquer.
All right. Thank you, Proximus, Proximus Caesar, for setting that up for us. Hiko, let's start with you just real quick here. What's your relationship with the apes? We've now watched every single Apes thing apart from the TV show that exists.
Oh, I didn't even know about the TV show.
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, probably another episode you had. Obviously the 70s movies were like cable TV staples for me as a kid growing up.
Nice.
TBS, I feel like always had the marathons during the weekends. And I like vaguely remember and tune in and pay attention. And I just thought it was really hokey and cheesy even back then watching it in the late 80s, early 90s. But the new movies, I saw Rise in the theater. Thought it was pretty good. It was like, I was pleasantly surprised. Then Dawn came out 3 years later. I thought that was even better.
Yep.
And then War, I missed that in theaters and saw it recently to prepare for Kingdom. And War like blew me away.
Yes.
I was like, these are like getting progressively better. And so like better than they should ever be.
Yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, and just for like the motion capture technology and like the technical innovation married with like with gravitas. I think that word kept popping up when I was watching these. Like, you watch these motion capture CG creatures. Like, it's really amazing. Like, it's really compelling.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been, very, very varying fans of these films. I think we all really loved the run up with the Andy Serkis movies here. And we're kind of like going into this one kind of cautiously optimistic, maybe, or hopeful. At least.
I think this is probably pound for pound of the longest franchises that we've covered, and this is one of the longer ones. We have liked most of these movies, which I think is something that has never happened before.
I was thinking about that too, just looking back on the whole series. I was like, they're all so high, and then there's a huge, monstrous gap, and then the one that no one likes. Usually it's much more all over the place.
But even then, like, I think that this has been one of the more enjoyable franchises that we have covered.
Yeah.
As an audience, and I think that's a really interesting thing to experience from a sequel. And I have a lot of thoughts in terms of what the modern kind of trilogy did and where this is going. And we'll get into that.
Well, I think, if the universe plays its cards right, in our lifetime, there could be more Planet of the Apeses than Land Before Times.
Oh, I think it's 100% guaranteed.
I think it's guaranteed, yeah.
Weren't those like 13 of those?
There's 14 of them.
14.
But they could always make more.
That's true.
They could always start up again.
They could. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
My hat's off to you.
They could start up again, and it could be a neck and long neck and neck race.
That would.
Sorry.
That would be intense. That'd be intense.
Okay. Anyway,
They basically set up camp at the Valley Beyond. So
they did. Yeah.
Well, we're done with Ape Moses, and it's time for Ape Noah.
Okay, so let's get right into, I think that the previous trilogy transcends something and does a lot of things that I think are incredible for sequels. And maybe we can get into some of that as we're talking about the details. But this movie starts with the funeral of Caesar.
It does.
Oh my God. I was not expecting anything like this, to be honest. I thought I knew that there was a multi-generational time jump that was happening, because that's as much as I had known from the few things I had read and was trying not to get spoiled. So I was not really expecting to see anything of Caesar. And, we had just watched War, and it's like so emotional. And so like for someone who like loved those movies and is like, going into this kind of like, I don't know, is it going to be good? A little skeptical. Like to start off with that, like pulled me in like immediately. And I was just like, oh my, like, I think I saw like what was happening with Maurice, and I was like, oh my God, no.
It's pretty crazy, because last week we talked about how it's the technology, they have it so down by now that it's getting easier and easier to bring new people in, whether it's like actors or small children, throwing them out there, or whoever. And so Karen Carnival and Terry Notary are in this for like 2 seconds, and then that's it. Like, I thought for sure, they'll all be in it again, just as different apes. Like, I thought absolutely that was gonna be. I mean, even Roddy McDowell did that in the old one with the makeup. Like, you already know how to do it. You just be the new guy. But they resisted that completely. Like, they are not in the movie at all, any of the old actors. And furthermore, they didn't bring in anybody like really famous to be in this movie at all.
Which I appreciated. There was no stunt casting.
Right.
Yes.
So you're not having like, I don't know, like Vin Diesel playing
right.
like this badass.
I mean, if the most famous person in your movie is William H. Macy, like that's crazy.
There was
post-college scandal.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a jump scare. I was like, is that William H. Macy?
His first post Shameless role, I guess.
Yeah, I had no idea he was going to be in this movie.
No, me neither. Yeah.
Fun fact. This is just a fun Hollywood. It's a Hollywood fact.
Hollywood fact.
When I saw the movie Borat, Felicity Huffman and William H. Macy were sitting behind me at the Hollywood and Highland Theater complex at the TCL Chinese.
Ooh.
And they thought it was delightful.
She was probably like, tricking people.
Yeah. How
What a concept!
Get my daughter into school. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That's not nice.
Nope.
I did go to USC. So,
That was a great joke.
That was good.
But yeah, all of the people here who are playing the kind of like new generation of apes are all like young, ish actors, like playing to the age of the characters, which is interesting.
People that I mostly don't even know.
Yeah, they've been in a few things here and there, but yeah. And
I've heard the name Owen Teague, but I can't remember where I've heard that
I was
name
like,
before.
I couldn't point that dude out.
Yeah.
I was like, very vaguely.
And I thought he was pretty great in this.
Yeah.
I think that if we're talking about motion capture and the performances here, I think that Kevin Durant is like really fucking great in this movie.
We just watched him in Abigail.
Having a great movie.
Yeah, like doing kind of the exact opposite of this in some ways.
And it's like it barely sounds like him. If someone was just like, look at this performance, and you try to guess who it is, I would never have guessed. Kevin Durant.
It really is. It's both a villain and like a heavy. But in that movie, he was so insecure about seeming dumb the entire time. So in a way, it's like a different play on it. But I don't know. It's really interesting.
I thought I really enjoyed his performance in this, and I thought that there was a lot of things that I did go into the movie knowing it was him, and watching that performance and knowing how this technology works, I thought it was a very nuanced, and it felt like that he almost had a play on the technology that felt very powerful. Like, in that it wasn't, I think that maybe some people would have the criticism of this movie of like, well, like he's kind of right? And it's like, that's what kind of makes him a good villain.
Yeah.
Proximus Caesar was right. Is that what you're
He's
trying
the
to say?
Killmonger of
Indeed.
Indeed.
No,
if you
not
will.
well. Like
If he was allowed to lead for a little while.
not to skip to spoilers, but of the interested players that we see, humans, selfish, Eagle Clan, dumb. They're not dumb.
They're not dumb, but they're
they're playing a different.
They're closed
game.
off and naive.
Yeah, they're playing a different game.
They're the Amish of the
Yeah.
And that is very interesting because they're like isolated. They're their own tribe. So I'm like, what happened to Caesar's people? Like who had guns and like we're doing like, how did this come to this?
I think Caesar's people are
They're
Proximus
NorCal?
Caesar's
Yeah.
You think they are?
Yeah, I think so too.
And I think that it's just like because I thought the whole thing was very interesting. We meet this orangutan who, tells us all the things that we as an audience remember about Caesar and in like Apes Together Strong, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then we later hear Proximus Caesar say those exact same things, but you see how they're being used in a different manner. So I think that he, whenever it was his turn to take charge or whatever, I don't know we have no sense of like the leadership roles or if he took over or whatever.
Well, there's also like a missionaries kind of group too, like of orangutans and whoever else.
I think I need to please speak, and then I might need to go on a rant.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I did. Who's the actor who played the orangutan? What was his name? Daka? Not Daka.
Raka, yeah. Raka. Peter Macon? Or
He was great. He was one of my favorite characters.
He is fantastic, and he's in the Orville.
Oh, cool.
And plays I can't remember the character's name, but he's like the Klingon like full makeup guy. that has. But yeah, like watching, I was like, wow, he's fantastic.
He was great, and I kind of was expecting him to show up again towards the end of the movie.
I still think he's alive.
I think he's Gandalfing
Yes.
in the next one.
Yeah, he.
I don't know if you stayed through to the end at the very end of the end credits, but at the very end, there's kind of like an orangutan noise
really
at the very end of the credits.
I did not stay
to the point where I was like, I mean, it was definitely an orangutan, right? That's what it was.
That's what I've been hearing online too.
It was like
but it's unclear, like why or who.
I'm sure the resurrection of him will be like the selling point in the next trailer.
Yeah, Rocco the White.
Remember, we don't see the body. We don't see the body. Still alive.
Yeah, if we don't see the body, still an ape.
That's true. He basically just got swept away by the river.
Yeah, we don't know what happened.
So I have complicated feelings about this movie, and I think this is a good time to kind of just jump into some of it.
Okay, why?
Rant.
So the rant would be that everything that the Matt Reeves and Rise trilogy does is really incredible. I think one of the most powerful things that it does is it never pinpoints exactly where it is in the Apes trilogy. It never says, hey, we're directly pointing to this, we're directly leading to this. Like, there are nods, but it's all in a timeline that everything is still possible, right? It never went for the direct callback of something. There was always, like there's people in space, or there's this thing, but like where it takes place and where the future could be was always kind of up for grabs.
Okay, but why is this one not like that?
Yeah, how is this one not like that? Because I don't agree.
No. I think that this one is exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. And I think that what it does for Caesar's story is kind of essentially leaving it behind, right? But I also think that by doing that, it activates the same themes that we love about the previous films of best intentions, hubris of civilizations. How do we have as a governing force? I have now lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
All right.
Well, I don't
Edit point.
No, yeah, it's okay. I don't think. I mean, I get that it's leaving literally the physical Caesar and like because he's dead behind, and like his group of people, specific people that we were following in the previous films behind. But I feel like it's very smart in the way it does a similar thing with like once Koba died, Koba's influence and everything loomed large. Caesar, we see many generations later that the apes, under Proximus Caesar and the ones that have kind of like defected and trying to, carry on Caesar's true meaning or whatever, like all of that stuff is still very much a strong part of the film. And I feel like that those themes of like what Caesar meant and all that is going to continue on if these movies continue on.
Well, it's interesting because Rock refers to Caesar as our lowercase lawgiver.
Yeah.
And so
we were in the theaters like, woo, woo,
it's kind of just like, okay, I see what you're saying, but this could be so much more zoomed out than we realize. Like sort of like how literally Jesus and Moses and whatever are to us or whatever, to where the point where people are going to be like, I don't know, did Caesar even really exist? He was the lawgiver. Like, that's all we know, and we're going from there.
Well, and it was distinctly not the lake where Caesar was burned. It was distinctly a different location.
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't really.
Well, they were
this
like
whole
on the
thing takes place like between LA and San Diego, right?
So it's the same area.
We see the LAX.
We do see LAX.
We see LAX, but everything before was in like Northern California.
Was in San Francisco.
And I expected that lake was probably like a Lake Tahoe or a lake...
which is east.
Yeah. So this is just a completely different group that's come up out of someplace, but they do get real quick. I was like, how long does it take to get to San Diego on horseback? Because they sure they make them walk on the beach. And I was like, they're already in Coronado? Like, oh my God. But anyways, this is all like LA, LAX, Griffith Park, and then San Diego is the big set piece.
Still repping the West Coast.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I thought with this movie, I thought they were going to be somewhere else in the
country
or even in the world. Like, are they setting it up to go, really internationally and have apes in different languages and accents?
Could be.
I mean, and then it was all shot in Australia.
Yes, yeah. I have seen also, like, I saw some article where someone was hypothesizing that because at the very, very end, when the humans get satellite transition again, the people that they talk to are in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is where Taylor is from, right?
I don't remember.
I think he's from Indiana, but yeah. So maybe like those fun Easter egg astronauts from Rise are just like something else. And Taylor is not even like, because there's still substantial amounts of humans around, even though they're underground or spread out or whatever. And so they could still kind of get to a point where they're surviving alongside the apes. And then things go to shit eventually because we still haven't had the nuclear war either.
Yeah. Right.
So anyways.
I do kind of love that it doesn't sync up perfectly, and I kind of hope that it never does.
Well, yeah, there's timey-wimey shit going on too.
Yeah.
It's totally fine because it's doing its own thing. We get introduced to Nova, which is really funny.
That was the funniest moment in the entire movie.
We have this.
Okay.
We will name her Nova. We name them all Nova.
And then I think he actually goes on from there, but that's really
he's like, I don't know why. It's just like something from Caesar's time. We call them all Nova, which is really funny because I know people criticized in war naming the girl Nova. So
I thought it was so funny because we had seen this like early clip where we hear that she's called Nova, and I was like a little bit like, ugh, why are they calling her Nova again? That's so stupid. Right. So I'm glad that this is like, I was so glad that was in there. It would like justified that.
Yeah,
for me.
before I had even realized that this kingdom took place like 300 years in the future.
I didn't know either.
I assumed that this young woman who's in the trailers and everything was the little girl from War.
Yeah, I thought it might be. Yeah,
because I'm still like riding high off of seeing War only a few days ago. So I kind of like settled. I went into this movie just taking in everything and accepting it and like really appreciating everything. Like I kind of went for the ride and. I mean, we can talk about all the other intricacies of the plot, but I of course I was also expecting them to set up something at the end for more movies. So I don't know. It'd be great if it gets a little crazier and like more out there.
Oh, definitely.
I agree. I think that like, how do we feel about if it's been 300 years, given the emotional climax that we get to in War, of that like this person can speak and they're fine.
Well, I guess it's
wait, what?
Like that Nova can speak.
Nova can speak.
That May can speak.
Well, I think she comes from like an underground society.
She explains that like when things went south, like half the people went underground and half didn't.
Yep.
Even when she comes back, they don't even let her in. Well, they burn all her shit, and then she's like poisoned. Outside.
They don't want to come out, and I'm assuming they don't want to come out and get the simian food. That's why, the one other human the main human that we see, who I'm assuming is going to be in later films because she's like somewhat recognizable actress.
Severance.
Severance.
Yes, she's great. I can't pronounce. It's like Deitchen Lachman or something like that. I don't remember how to pronounce her name. We see her come out like in full quarantine hazmat gear. Yeah,
maybe they let May inside after 2 weeks. Like or something.
I don't think she comes in.
Shit out of luck.
She's just outside forever.
I don't think she comes in.
Is this a suicide mission?
Yeah. Well, and maybe she already was. I don't know how that works. I guess.
I mean, I guess we can get to that. Well, I guess we're leaping.
Well, yeah.
That's
okay.
fine.
So the Eagle clan.
We got the Eagle clan. Yeah. So like our main protagonist here is Noah. Who's a fun like younger ape. He kind of reminds me more of like what Caesar was like in Rise a little bit, where he's like still learning the ropes, like discovering the world around him, and he's got two friends, Suna and Anaya.
It is interesting that he's like just a guy in the tribe. Even his dad is not the full-on leader. He's like the manager of the birds, but he's not the elder. Like there's a different elder that they dispose of.
I do think that this is excellent world building. And I think that some people have felt differently, as I've seen reactions online. And the thing that I said to Justin as soon as we saw this movie is that Wes Ball be playing video games because because that is what's happening here. And I even at one point leaned over and whispered, more like Horizon of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Because this is a full-on Horizon Zero Dawn plotline.
I had never seen what he looked like, and I saw an interview, and I was like, wow, he looks like a pretty young guy. I guess he was born in 1980, so it makes sense that he would be like into all those games.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So,
but I do love this sequence. We see these apes going on basically like a test of strength.
it's like a
passage into
I think it's I can't
Rite
think
of
of any
passage.
off the
Called,
top
like,
of
the
my
climb
head,
of
but yeah.
passage.
it's like the
Yes.
climb. You gotta
We've
go
met
do the
this
climb.
new clan. There's an important rite of passage coming up, but it all gets ruined because of an attack.
It's
from
bonding day.
someone. Yeah,
It's bonding day. I think
Yeah.
they're talking about.
And I love this. I love the justification to show the world through these eagles flying through. I think that like the moment where like we see these apes climb to the top of these buildings, they're stealing eggs, and then the idea is that they're going to bond to these eagles. The eagles become their protectors and friends. We see this whole ecosystem where they send eagles out to go fishing, and they smoke, the fish that the eagles bring back. It's really cool and concise, and it really builds up to the point where these eggs get broken.
Yeah, we really already bond with Noah in the first 15 minutes. Like even the fact that he's like, no, we got to leave one egg. We can't take them all per nest. And then when he gets to the point where he does accidentally break his egg because Nova/May is trying to steal the fish, and he becomes startled, and she pushes him and his egg cracks. Everyone in the theater was like, no, everyone was so emotional. It was like, it's an egg. Like, we don't know anything
did
about it.
so much work to get it.
But everyone was just like, no.
I really love, this is like a production design emotional response. Like, the apes have no styling, but the only thing that they have is this very special egg basket across them.
A satchel.
A satchel. And we saw, as they were grabbing them, they survived so many different hardships of them not breaking. And it almost seemed like, they'll never break. And then the vulnerability of that in that satchel, there's something really, it really worked. It was dope.
I think I saw a Saved by the Bell episode where they had to take care of eggs. Wasn't there? Or
Can't confirm. Can't confirm.
Oh, remember those?
Yeah. I think it makes it this really wonderful. It either works or it doesn't, and it totally worked for all of us in the theater, I would say. And then it puts no one in this place where, I'm not going to put my friends in a place where they're going to stay back for me. I'm going to go get another egg.
Yeah. Well, and it is kind of curious too. In the initial egg sequence, there's this whole thing about his blanket getting stolen, and then they start mentioning echoes. Could it be the echoes? And it's pretty obvious that the echoes are probably going to be humans, but we have not heard this term before, and so it immediately tells us okay, these are probably not people directly descended anytime recently from the Caesar group.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess for me, it was hard to say because I hadn't
I mean, they might be, but it's been a while.
I guess I knew there was a character named Proximus Caesar, but I didn't know how he was connected or whatever. So and the fact that we go straight from the funeral into this group, you're like, oh, this is his group.
Yeah.
Oh, they're really living off the land now. It's been so far in the future that they don't even know they're called humans anymore.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And then he was saying, just taking it all in and enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
It was great when he finally encounters these other apes that are with masks, and they say something like, "For Caesar" or whatever, and you're like, "Oh my god, what?"
And he's like, "Who's Caesar?"
Yeah, he doesn't even know. Yeah, I thought that was a great moment.
Ugh. But yeah, it's crazy when they get attacked because that is the attackers have electricity.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, for what we've seen in this movie so far.
Yeah.
So it's alarming.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Hiko, what did you think of the new characters, the new trio and Noah?
No, I liked the dynamic of the young bunch,
the friend group.
The friend group. Especially, I thought we were gonna get a little more comic relief from what's his
Anaya?
Anaya.
He seemed to be like the bad ape of Kingdom.
Indeed.
No one can go as hard as Bad Ape. Okay.
No one can be Steve Zahn, movie enhancer.
Bad Ape was like the biggest pleasant surprise of the franchise, and I thought we would have some kind of incarnate of him in this movie. And I was expecting a little more, like with them going on the journey with him. But it's a very solo trip for him. But then he meets. I keep forgetting
Raka.
I keep wanting to say like Daka or Kaka. That would not be.
His
good.
name was Kaka.
His name was.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's really funny because even when he does meet Raka, like Raka still barely knows shit either. He's like, I don't know what this is. It's like maybe a sanctuary for humans. Like it's like the airport. Or whatever.
And it was like, it was funny. He had those books, but it didn't seem like he really knew. He was like, he knew that the symbols meant something, but couldn't tell you what they said. Really, I don't think
that like I thought. Well, it's been 300 years. I assume. I think that's what I heard. One of the filmmakers mentioned.
Yeah.
I would think they would learn how to read at this point,
or have any
like
even their own language.
If all of them are talking, or they have some kind of written.
Well, yeah, because in Dawn or whatever, they have like "ape shall not kill ape" written on the rocks.
Exactly. And I think somehow whoever left or whoever because we established with Bad Ape that other apes are becoming smart around the world as a virus spreads. So these people just may not even come from Caesar at all.
The education system just collapsed.
I know.
Rampant illiteracy.
Yeah. Ape illiteracy.
They were like eagles?
Yeah. Well, he was surprised that he not only could not read English, he was surprised that symbols could have meaning. So that is a whole nother step back. They had the older dad and the older guy had like these necklaces that had some sort of symbols or glyphs, but I guess it wasn't quite like to the point of a language yet. So,
Which is, but maps nicely onto history as things where it's like, we think we're so smart and we everything's verbal and oh no shit, these other people wrote shit down, those dumb fucks.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of crazy.
Why did they write it in a language we can read?
One thing we didn't talk about in the war episode, because I just forgot to bring it up, was that they think that the virus is making them not able to speak and dumb, but it is unclear like if the quote unquote dumbness is temporary or like just certain people are in a fog, because Nova is not dumb. She picks up sign language from Maurice in like 24 hours and is not stupid. So it's like, does it affect children different than adults? Is there something like we don't ever find out?
Yeah, it might just be that like, no one takes the time to interact with them. After
and they're so panicked. They're like in shock. And then, Woody Harrelson shot me in the head before I could tell you guys like, no, I still understand you. Like,
like the human herd we see here, maybe they could still be like talked to and taught some things, but no one ever takes that step because they're like, fuck humans in this one, Yeah,
that was an amazing scene when they come upon the zebras. It was like that Last of Us thing, like, oh my god, it's a giraffe, except they just have no concept of zebras. Like they're like, a horse.
Yeah, Raka is so funny. He's like, that's odd, and I love his performance in this whole thing is so great. Like dealing with Noah, who's like this basically like a child learning things, and Raka just always have like some smart like, that's not how it works. Like, what are you talking about? Don't
he's like
you know?
Ariel or something.
Yeah,
he's like, this is a dingle hopper. Use it to comb my hair. Like
he's like, come on, man. Yeah. That was a great. I love that relationship, and it's a bummer that like he dies so quickly. But hopefully he'll be back. We'll see.
I think he will be.
He was just washed away. Never found the body.
Exactly.
A lot of drowning in this movie.
So much drowning.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they want to show off the new technology and show them all wet.
Yeah,
exactly. It was
Wet
like it's Kung
capture.
Fu Panda 2.
I was getting like mesmerized by the hair in certain scenes when they were out in the wind.
The ash and stuck in the fur. You see the ash.
Yeah, and like the scene before they got attacked on the bridge was when I really just hit me. I was like, oh my god, like Raka's hair is like everywhere, blowing in the wind, and then he fell in the water, and I was like, oh my god, it was so cool looking,
What conditioner
It's really
does he
wonderful.
use?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think someone when we were at the movie or afterwards was talking about Avatar or something with the ending sequence, and the writer Josh Friedman has a story credit on Way of Water, so
Indeed.
you're like you might see some similarities in some of the like set pieces.
Well, and Amanda Silver and Rick Jaffa, they did all of the previous Apes trilogy, and then they moved on to Avatar Land.
Yeah. So
Well, and being
there's
like
connections there.
I feel like being drowning, like because you're stuck under something, is like a very like visceral fear, almost different than
Oh, God, yeah.
I can't swim, so I drowned, or like whatever. But the fact that the water is rising and you're there, you can breathe, and then it just eventually like.
Also, they make us watch the whole thing.
It's a
They don't cut away.
Set piece where Noah did not kill ape.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was a great sequence, though.
Plausible deniability, but we haven't even you don't even know what we're talking about.
yeah, true.
That's true. That's true.
So the Eagle Clan has an idyllic, beautiful society, and we find that there is an Echo that is trying to steal food and hang around there, and the invasive apes burn it all the fuck to the ground.
Burn it. Yeah. Like kill they kill lots of people and they take hostages.
At this moment, we don't know why.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie delays the gratification of why fairly successfully, and I think explains it in a pretty cool way.
Yeah.
There's only a certain number of reasons to take hostages, and it turns out they're building a bigger community.
It rhymes with
workers.
It rhymes with aviary.
Yeah,
I
so
got to build a bigger kingdom.
yeah, and so they all get taken down to San Diego to serve Proximus, and they kind of like they're like, oh yeah, we swore fealty to him or whatever, like I don't know, we're not Eagle Clan anymore, but like I don't know, he's not really enforcing it either,
It looks like they're living in a bunch of those like Jabba the Hutt ships from Return of the Jedi.
Or like they're living in the Way of Water like tribes
Also that,
awnings.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Their beachside resort.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great looking set though. It was very cool with
It
like
was
the
cool.
waves crashing up against that barricade and everything.
well, and we have like a long history now in this franchise of old decrepit ships being like a pivotal setting. But I just think with Nova May, she is so you don't realize it because you just think like, oh, she's this dumb human, they're taking pity on her the way they always do with a Nova, she's dumb and they're just letting her have an apple or whatever the hell it was. But if you think back to it after we know what she does, it's so evil and so calculating. And
I thought that was a great twist.
yeah, I explained to my friend who came with us to the movie but hasn't really seen all the others. He's like, well, isn't there always like a human or whatever? Aren't they enemies? I was like, there's sometimes enemies, there's sometimes the bad guys, but this is the only time we've ever seen somebody like take advantage of the like, oh, I'm a dumb human, and then turn on them completely.
Absolutely trick everybody.
Yeah, it was
pretty dark.
nuts.
It was pretty dark.
Yeah.
Which I actually really like because that's another thing I was just totally not expecting.
Right.
The whole time you're like, oh, she's very helpless or she needs help. And
Well, she has that kind of model-esque waif look to her.
Yeah.
At first, so you're really not suspecting anything.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the only person that can speak is this gorgeous woman. How weird.
Yeah, no, it felt that twist made me appreciate the story more because seeing the trailer so many times and all the TV spots, I'm like, oh, they hired some model to be like the whatever. Oh my god, I'm
Eye candy.
eye candy, or the token human of the movie.
Yeah.
But no, but they really wrote her part really well and tricked us all in the end. So.
Yeah.
And this is the first time where I feel like
The Mark Wahlberg of the movie.
this is the first time with the humans where like I feel like if they do make another movie, I feel like she's probably gonna her story is not complete. So
Could
Yeah. No, I think I think that this is a acceptable like carrying of the torch from the Rise trilogy. And I think that it's done the right things to set it up properly to be a reboot. And I think that I've seen some discourse online being like, this is an affront to that original trilogy.
What?
And it's like,
I don't get
How?
I would be curious to know their reasoning, but I don't feel like that's the case.
no, not at all. Well,
Because it's like, I don't know what people, what people want.
Because it's just doing the like franchise reset, but like we are so immune to those things. It's like it is honoring the franchise more than 90%.
Yeah, I think it's doing like so much to bring as much as possible forward.
Yeah.
It's being
reasonably.
respectful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Without being like, oh wow, we found a cryogenically frozen Maurice, and here he comes to tell us what Caesar was really like.
That'd be amazing, first of all. But also, I mean, I think it really is kind of just like, and as it's been with the old series, like every one of these movies is like about a new thing, and this one is about like history and religion and how these symbols and stories go, from generation to generation. I mean, they're still using the symbol of Caesar's window, which has absolutely no meaning to them at this point.
Yes.
They think it has something to do with why Caesar liked humans, which is true, sort of, but it's completely lost its meaning over the generations and is now a completely different
Now
thing.
it's just important.
It's diving into themes. Well, I think that the thing that these movies have always been fantastic at is engaging with ideas that are forces that pull us to our own destruction, right? Whether it's nuclear war, whether it's ideology, whether it's these things, and it's always been with the humility and the terror of like it's self-inflicted, like we're going to destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that this film engages with those themes feels almost the most urgent and modern in that, where it's like, hey, history does these things. These ideas are the best intentions. Who's wrong in this? And I think that is the way the humans are poised, the way that Proxima Caesar is poised.
Yeah.
The way that Trevelyan, has his
Trevelyan?
thing. Yeah.
He's basically like a court jester or like a
Trevathan? Yeah.
which is kind of funny
No,
because
Trevelyan.
Trevelyan from 007.
That's what same role. Same role.
a lot of kings and stuff would have a monkey as a
Yes.
so it's pretty funny that they're like, we got William H. Macy as my court jester.
Read me the histories, but like, but also like how much of the. I think what I love about that dynamic between Proxima Caesar and Trevathan is how much of the things that we think that set us apart are like fodder for that. And I do think that this film is actually engaging into some deeper things that I super enjoy. Yeah. And I also think that it did some really fun world building.
Yeah.
And think that all that you said is why, for me, I think it's the best dystopian movie franchise in the last 20 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally.
We've had a lot of versions of dystopia, especially on TV, but mostly on the big screen. We've had, you can call the Hunger Games dystopian, but that came from a different source material anyway. But this really gets into, I'll say the word again, like it lends a gravitas and really a compelling, visceral, primal feeling you get that it really hits you in a different way. I've never had a movie franchise like this really hit me like this in a long time.
And I think that it's the best type of franchise where we have now 10 movies that are a riff on a sci-fi short novella.
Right. It has gone so far away from that novella.
But it hasn't.
No,
right?
no, yeah, right.
Like
Thematically, it is not.
Like it is it is the idea of societies that think that they are good and just, and given the devices of history, how are they going to treat the outsiders? How will you treat the outsiders in your society? And I think that is an existential problem that we have, that we're dealing with that humanity will never stop dealing with.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the riff on that, to have that go for 60 years at this point and have it still feel relevant is just a great engine for sci-fi storytelling, and it's a great engine for reflecting a mirror back on society.
Well, especially since this movie now is coming out. We always had like a 3-year gap in between the first 3 movies, but now this movie's coming out during a very different time in America.
Yeah.
So when Rise and Dawn and War came out, War came out in 2017, but
it was pre-pandemic.
Without
it was a different world.
Certain politician names.
Before times.
But they built that movie. They shot that movie in its entirety like 4 years before. Yeah.
That was the Obama era.
Yeah.
But now we are in a different era, and it has so much more resonance. It hits really different. So
best intentions.
Yeah, I just think the whole like sorry, Eliz, if you were gonna say
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think the whole like, you know, concept behind the moving this, you know, franchise forward with this film is just so fascinating to me. Like to think that we ended with war, you know, everyone like we've come to this idyllic place. It's all our people together, apes strong together. We're all like happy and everything. And then to see how that can all be warped and turned into something completely different, and just like how, like you said, best intentions and everything. It's just so fascinating to be like, oh, let's explore, like, you know, so far into the future, how things have changed. Can we even ever get back to, you know, what things were like when Caesar laid down and died at the end of war? Well, I think that might be what we're like dealing with through the rest of these if they make more.
And I think that's the thing, that's the tragedy of this, is the inevitability of where these lead to, because these movies lead to a nuclear annihilation and then nuclear annihilation, like double twice.
Yep.
And I think that Caesar, what we see from Noah, is the utopia that Caesar envisioned. It was, we live off the land, we are with each other, and like I do think that that is everything that he wanted for all of his fellow apes.
Yeah.
And that the ambition to evolve, the ambition to be more than apes, is the thing that Proxima Caesar takes from Caesar, because that's what Caesar was. Caesar was in both those worlds, and he was actively trying to leave that behind so that he could build that society. And I love the idea of both those things being true and both those things being correct, especially when the humans are pressing to take it back.
Yeah, like Caesar and various groups of the apes have been like, we just want to be left alone. We want to raise our kids. We want to be here. We want to just survive. And the humans in every single one of these movies in the new, the later era, it's never enough. You know, like that's why this all happened in the first place, because James Franco was like, my dad's life has not been enough. I need to prolong his life. Yeah. Second one, they were like, just surviving here isn't good enough, even though we have food and water and we're alive. We need electricity. We need to communicate. We have to do this. You know, our lives are on the line. And then the next one, you know, he was like, we gotta, you know, keep pushing. We need to keep conquering. And Noah and Proxima Caesar say it in this, like the humans are never gonna stop. They just can't. Like they're not capable, and we probably are not capable either.
We're not capable.
There's these like incredible conversations and arguments between like between May and Noah about like this is a human place. Like you guys are not supposed to be here. And then you know he has that incredibly moving like you know speech about like, what about us? Like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Just like fucking die, or you know, like they're sentient, emotional people, apes with families and everything. It's like it's crazy.
And one of my favorite world building details. I joked around about this after we left the thing. But I was like, they have not shown this yet, but because look, like Woody Harrelson was kind of running a cult, but he didn't have time to build it up, you know. And Caesar was like a one-woman man. He never, you know, or maybe they kept it, but he wasn't trying to repopulate the apes population. He's like, this is my wife. We got 2 kids. She died. Now I got to die too. You know, that was it. But we'll
hold for the behind the music.
Right. Proximus Caesar has a harem of wives and concubines with veils over their heads that are like, and I was like, oh my God, this is the first time that we've seen like it getting that culty to where there's like effed up sex stuff, and these apes don't have Netflix to know, like, oh my god, as soon as someone starts taking multiple wives, it's a cult. Like,
primate polygamy.
Yes.
But I mean, that shit, and I think that there's something kind of really powerful about that, is that the only reason that's happening is because, like, if the apes were just left to their own devices, there'd be Eagle Clan. There'd be, all of these indigenous people that live across that. It's only when the knowledge and technology and philosophy of humanity gets injected into Proxima Caesar that he's like, I should have 10 wives.
Yeah, because he's being told Roman history.
I am not going to
toga parties.
I'm not going to exist forever, and I need to achieve greatness. And there's it's a really subtle thing in this movie that I don't think that it advertises, and I think that there are some people that think that it's very surface level, but it's a really like pernicious idea, and I agree with it.
Well, you could say that humanity was the original virus.
Yes.
And now it's infecting the primate. It's infecting the apes. And it's infecting Proximus, who's becoming more... He's following the human ideologies and the human desires and the human ambition. So the apes, are now going to become like the humans and start warring against each other and start, dividing themselves up like humans, because humans are the original parasite of the planet.
And I think that that's like War is this beautiful movie where Caesar is going down that human path, and at the end he decides, no, I'm going to do better than that, and I'm going to choose something different. And this movie offers the hypothesis that only lasts for so long.
Yeah,
because you can be the most pious, amazing, incredible leader, but it's impossible to guarantee that the next generation, the next man or woman or whoever is going to be, have your same ideals.
They will take the best intentions and make them serve themselves.
It makes as sad as War for the Planet of the Apes was. It's even more sad to know, like, the end of that movie is Maurice literally saying, like, your son will know Caesar. He will know who you are and what you did. And now we're 300 years out, and it's
nobody
like
knows.
People know, like, the catchphrases. People know the catchphrases. And they've been bastardized into, slavery of other apes.
It was horrifying when Proximus Caesar says, like, apes together strong. Yeah, and he talks about Caesar. I was like, get Caesar's name out your effing mouth. How dare you? Like,
that's why it's, like, so cool to see how, obviously it's not working out well for these apes, but it's cool to see how those same words that we have known to be such, like, a bringing together and, like, bonding and, like, community building words, to see it used in this way, like, oh no, apes together are, like, forcibly strong, and we're gonna we're gonna get the technology to become even stronger and, like, actually go on some sort of kingdom creating war or whatever he was planning to do. I think it's so fascinating.
It's like you have 3 laws, maybe 1 out of 3 makes it, in over 300 years. It's and like a huge bummer.
The other, we talked about the apes shall not kill ape. Like that moment, the whole time you're still like, oh, like May is like, oh yeah, she's helping them out. Like they're going to get inside there and figure out what's going on. And like that moment where Trevathan comes out and like pretty much says like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Like this is feels special for this movie.
Yeah, and then we see her argue with him, and then she straight up kills him, murders him, and you're like, whoa, that was like a very big, like, holy crap, like, okay,
takes him down.
Yeah, here we are, like, humans kill humans. This is the problem that we were originally talking about with Caesar. Like, apes don't want to be like that, and that's when. Obviously your brain is now like, oh, wait, what is she doing now? Who is
also,
this?
There was like 80 other different things she could have done. He was like a drunk old man. Like she could have tied him up, threw him in the brig or whatever, like it's like.
Burn his Crit Vonnegut collection.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to kill this anti-human asshole.
No, I thought I think that scene felt edgy.
Yeah.
And it felt like it was trying to do something. And I think it was successful in it.
It was great.
So I didn't even know. I mean, based on the previews, I had no idea there was going to be just so much of this movie that takes place in a human bunker. Like, I was like, what? And at some point, I was like, wow, we've really been in here a long time.
And what? No Goggins? Fuck you, movie.
Perfect timing with Fallout. I was like, here we go.
I know. Yeah. What did you think about all of that part, Hiko?
Well, I think it's. I was going to say this franchise is unique in that you can give it a name to make you guess or have an assumption of what the themes are going to be about or where it's going to take place or where, but you really don't know. The trailers all don't really show what the actual plot is because this is a unique franchise where it's so open-ended and vast, such a vast universe that it could go anywhere.
Right.
So it's like as many times as I've seen the trailer and the TV spots for this, I really went in and was blown away by half of the stuff that goes on because as the plot unravels, you're like, okay, so that's why that's one of the things I appreciate about this franchise is that it kind of surprises you and makes you really ask a lot of questions and have a lot of discussions and then that's what great sci-fi
Absolutely.
not parables, but
Parables, fables.
Yeah.
That's what they do. So
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I love that whole ending sequence. You're still like, okay, obviously now she's up to something, and you're just wondering the whole time, and she's looking around like, what is she even looking for? And when she grabs the SATCOM thing, you're still kind of like, okay, like what is she gonna do with that? I'm starting to think like, are there like astronauts up in space they're gonna try to talk to?
I was wondering that too.
I'm so happy they didn't do that. It was like an AI Charlton Heston voice. It was
my God,
it's me, Taylor.
She really is the Kaiser Soze of the when she walks up to that other bunker,
Yeah.
But they find an old classroom. They find a book showing humans looking at animals in a zoo.
It's like a children's book. It's so great.
So shocked.
It's a delightful scene. It's very good. But it's also a very video game scene.
Yeah.
We also we kind of missed this, but when Caesar goes to Griffith Park, he looks into the telescope and is like,
when Noah goes,
Caesar, God, Noah goes, he's amazed by like seeing this view of the galaxy.
That was a really beautiful
but we're
scene.
not quite sure like where that's all gonna lead us yet.
And it's cute that he climbs to the other end and is trying to
he's like, what the hell?
What's in this thing?
And what did he say? He said he saw like a black tunnel eating light or something.
He called it a tunnel that ate light. Yeah.
Well, any that's the thing with Nova, that she looks at it and that's his first moment of there's a thinking person behind it.
Yeah. Well, and I think I just, if you don't understand where we are, like in the galaxy, because he's only lived in this one valley his whole life and these two giant towers, so it's just very, it changes your perspective on things, I guess. And he does take his, wife or partner there at the end. They see the solar system in the classroom. But then the most amazing part where I was doing, we were doing Leo pointing meme was the baby doll.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, indeed.
Because that is very, very
and it goes,
critical.
Mama.
Yeah. And I read online it's exact same audio.
It sounded like it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they reused the same audio.
That was cool. That was really cool.
I do appreciate this movie in two ways, in that moment of looking at awe of in the apes and having that sure to be in humans, and that its central thesis is that the idea of self become a thing, because the entire idea of the Eagle Clan is that your dad might die and then you'll step up but the clan will survive, and it is the injection of Caesar, of leader, of this person deserves concubines, and the individual is the poison that kind of drives that other tribe. And I think that, I don't know how much credit I want to give, the ideas of this, but I do think that it does engage upon the core themes of what these movies have been wrestling with since the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, and then at the end you get the final showdown, battle, whatnot. And the eagles end up being far more valuable than any human weapon that we've seen.
So cool. That was a great
do you want
scene.
to talk
Just
about
like
it?
the Lord of the Rings.
Right, the eagles.
Well, yeah, the whole time they've been building up like, we see a little bit of in the beginning where his
Right.
dad is like singing to the birds.
I hated that this shot was in the trailer.
I had no idea.
Hated it.
Oh, where
'Cause
he
I was
like
I didn't
throws the
clock
bird
it.
out.
it's so dope. And like when it happens, I was just waiting. Like it was.
Well,
such
people in the theater were like, yeah.
It was so great. I was mad that I saw that in a trailer because I was just waiting for, because I love that iconography
Of, yeah.
and it was
Flipping
the
his arm
entire
out.
movie built to this.
And then there's this great moment where like all the apes are singing, and we get like some like great throat singing in there, and they're singing the song, and then the eagles all like converge, and then they're attacking Proximus, and he just like tosses his bird at him basically.
It's great.
I was listening to another podcast where they were joking around about how all the other apes that were enslaved by Proxima Caesar were probably like, yeah, I'm in the eagle clan now too. Yeah. I'm here to sing. Yeah.
I want an eagle. Yeah.
I do want to double back very quickly of the idea that they had to enlist slaves to peel back the ravages of climate change. Which is like cool idea. I respect this movie for that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So I want to get your guys' opinion on this because I don't know, Wes Ball and whoever is threatening us with another cut of this movie in which there is no like CG motion capture, and he's like talking about possibly releasing the whole movie with the human actors just for people to see. So is that something you want to see? Do you think it's bad? Do you think it's good? What do you think?
I think people should see it. I mean, from people that Justin and I watched every special feature.
Sure. But do you want to watch the whole movie?
If it was just like a version on a Blu-ray that you could watch, then sure, I would. I don't know if I would sit and watch the whole thing, but I would like to. I would like to see some of the scenes, like so you can really be like, oh, how is this like really emotional performance like coming through? I think that'd be interesting because
It sounds like an award season ploy.
Yeah,
Right.
Yes,
Like
entirely.
But
Possible.
as
for
it
your
should be,
consideration.
like I do think
Yeah.
motion capture actors should be nominated. I think
It'd be cool if they did a version where they just swipe the screen, so you
Yes.
see the
Yeah.
seamless transition.
some of the Blu-ray special features had side by side footage, which was cool to see.
yeah.
I do think it's interesting, and like for the actors, I think it's great for them to get their like full facial performance out.
I love the idea of supporting the actors. I have said on this podcast that Andy Serkis should have gotten an Oscar nom for everything else.
Like he's not in it now, so that ship has sailed for now.
He's off to do another Gollum.
My point is that the actors should get the credit, but there are about fucking 300 people at Weta that should also get the credit.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely.
There are definitely, I mean, along that line, I thought everything looked fucking incredible, and they should get another VFX now.
Yeah, it looks
visual
fucking
effects now.
great.
Yeah, it was great.
It's the things that they're doing and capturing those things. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is just like an Apes movie. It's like no.
What did you guys think about the very end moments, like the way this whole part of her like going to the humans, giving them the communication, saying them like contact someone? It, for me, that was the only part that I thought was a little weird. Like it played for me a little bit too triumphant, like almost like
Well,
with
I just
the
thought
music.
it was kind of stupid too, because I'm like, you could have like walked to Indiana, like I mean, it would have taken you a long time, but us humans have done it. We had the Oregon Trail and all that, like you don't need to have a satellite to communicate with Indiana.
I do think it's super bogus. Like this is the largest problem with the movie is that like everything that Caesar did, humanity was ending, and like the fact like, oh, we talk and like whatever, like it's fine. I don't. 300 years later with humans, I know we're gonna have Alpha and Omega and like all these other things, but like I kind of don't give a shit. Like I kind of wish that like she can talk. They're gonna give me some sci-fi reason. I don't really care.
Yeah,
it just
she's
played
in a bunker
for me. Like I don't know if it was like the music and everything. It just played like a weird like I was like, are we supposed to be like excited?
You were about to shoot our main character in the fucking face.
Yeah. Like, are we supposed to be happy that there's other humans and they can make they like made contact and that they're excited about it?
Like, have you not watched what Caesar did?
Who are we supposed to be rooting for?
Like these humans.
Yeah. I mean, well, our guest Hannah from several weeks ago, she was like, I always root for the humans, and we were like, no, the humans are horrible. Which there have got to be people out there. I mean, she was somewhat joking, I think, but there have got to be people out there that honestly probably root for the humans in these movies. Like, I don't know how you could watch it that way, but I'm sure it's possible.
Certain types of people.
Yeah.
That's how I'll describe them. Well, it was obligatory, that end shot. I kind of was expecting it. They had to set it up. They had to ramp it up to another sequel in this, if it's a new trilogy or not.
Right.
I think it is.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
It should have been like Gravity or whatever, where it was like a child in China that doesn't speak English or whatever, you know? And they're probably like, yeah, he's just been fine this whole time. I don't know
and
what
George
talking about.
Clooney's ghost.
Yeah. Oh, God. The music, Justin.
Oh, yeah. Music. The score was done by John Paisano, who he did the Maze Runner films and also has done the Spider-Man video games.
I own some of his vinyl. I was gonna say is a composer, but no,
Paisano? I don't know how to pronounce it.
But then we also have like literal credited callbacks.
Oh yeah, there's themes from War in there because we started off with that and some throughout, and then they literally use some Jerry Goldsmith stuff
in the bridge sequence that we did not talk about.
Yeah, the bridge sequence where Rocka dies. But that was fun to hear too because we haven't really heard that.
Not to be confused with Rocket.
Rocka, yeah.
Nova, not to be confused with Nova. The names are too similar. I was like, come on. Did you want to issue a correction about Michael Giacchino from last week?
Oh, yeah. I was going to say last week we had all this, we're dealing with Alpha and Omega, and we were like, I remember on the podcast, hymns. We were like, they didn't sing anything. Like, what the heck? They didn't sing any hymns. Well, guess what?
There be hymns.
On the end credits track on the soundtrack, on Spotify, on the vinyl and everything, I was like, finally, because I hadn't finished the vinyl that week, and I played the rest of it later, and I'm like listening, and all of a sudden I hear like this like men's chorale starts singing like basically alma mater style we're Alpha and Omega, and I was like, oh my god, what was this in the movie? Did we miss this? It's like it's not actually in the credits, it's just on the soundtrack. So I sent it around to everybody. So there was a hymn involved in the film somehow.
Apologies to Michael Giacchino. We should have known you could never pass up a bit.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a good track if you want to check it out on the end credits track.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, the music in this one was pretty good, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So anything else you want to say, Hiko, about the movie, or
just
jump to the
overall,
ratings?
I think going back to what you were saying about the awe, how you appreciated the awe. I think there that awe existed because there was space for it. Because I think what this franchise does, and all the movies do, is it practices a restraint that you don't really see in that many like blockbuster reboot franchises. So that's what I appreciate. It's just it's really that's what really draws me in.
Sweet,
absolutely,
I agree. You have a rating system?
I do. How many poisonous tomes of Western rhetoric would you like to give the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
American Psycho.
Yeah. I would take your business card.
I think I'm gonna go with 8 because I did like it. I liked it a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I get that it's a reboot, but I still miss like my guys, I
don't think the trajectory that this is going at is going to reach the heights of Matt Reeves and Caesar.
It might. I mean, 2 movies from now, I might be like, oh my god, Noah.
I think Noah's on a trajectory.
He is. But he's not there yet.
Yeah, this is like
Caesar.
It's like the Rise version.
James Franco's in this one.
Right. We'll find out. It really wasn't as cut and dry with the human enemies this time. She was all over the place, and then
she had a handgun at
Proximus
the end.
Caesar, but I did love the culty aspects of it. And it just looks freaking amazing, and it was a really good movie, and I was super, super into it, and the little callbacks here and there. So I give it an 8, but not a 9 or 10 because I don't know.
We're waiting.
Yeah.
Prove it to me.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think I will also give it an 8. I was, going back and forth between 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But, because this is, I was like, honestly, very pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's like really good. It's got so much work to do, and it's like, I love that it like swings for the fences of like creating this full fucking brand new world. We're not like, we're not having a Small Rise type movie where we're like only in the village with Noah the whole time. And at the very end, it's like, what? There's a Proximus Caesar and that's it. We're like doing this whole fucking giant, it's called Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So we're seeing the whole kingdom of this area or whatever. And I thought they did a great job, taking on that legacy and continuing things. The new characters, I feel like, part of the issue for me too is a little bit like there's parts where I feel like the movie drags a little bit, but I do think that the time is well spent to like really get us, ingratiate us with these new characters that we're probably going to be following in the next 2 or 3 films or whatever. And then, everything looks great. The action's great. There's like lots of stuff, as we have talked about, lots of stuff to dig into and think about and talk about. I'm just very excited to see where this goes. Really enjoyed it.
I sat there with my arms crossed for about the first 10 minutes, and I slowly unfurled them, and I found myself to be very engaged with this film. I really enjoyed it. I think that it is engaging with the themes at every different level. I think that that's one of the most incredible things about the Apes films is that it's a riff on the guilt and the allure and the inevitability of our self-annihilation as a species. And I think that it has gone through those iterations. I think that war, ended in this really oddly positive place. And I think that to leapfrog from that into this, even the best intentions can be misconstrued and misunderstood, is a really powerful idea. And I think that it speaks more to our time. And I think that it was gorgeous. I loved the world building in it. And I feel like I was talking the most shit during this episode. And I'm going to go 9.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Okay, we saved the best for last. Hiko Mitsuzuka, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a 9 as well.
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's one of the most, if not the most consistent franchise we have.
Yes, I think that's
nowadays.
true.
And
so impressive.
It's so thoughtful. It really makes you think. It asks the tough questions. The acting was great. I was watching the eyes of every character in this movie and how expressive and even the subtle expressions. And it was for such a huge summer blockbuster, sci-fi dystopian, whatever you want to call it. It was very nuanced. And I really enjoyed and appreciated the quiet moments of the movie. Like I said, it practices a restraint that I really like and respond to because it really lets you soak in and soak up the characters and the story and the world. And it feels, you live in it for those 2.5 hours. It's great world building. And I agree with what everyone says.
And it did not feel long. Like
no,
it really
and
did.
I knew it's the longest movie. It's the longest
Apes
movie we've gotten so far. But I didn't mind it. I didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it.
But they should keep it under. They shouldn't go past 225.
Well, they had to do so much world building.
I do
bathroom.
think there's something really incredible and something to be said that the spectacle of the visual effects kind of, they've become so good that they become invisible, and it's given this like renewed focus on the performance where you can have those quiet moments because like it's this technical wizardry
and it's not flamboyant. It's not flashy and flamboyant. It really focuses and it's subtle and nuanced.
And it takes the time to do it because like that shot is a fucking $1 million. Like you can hold on it. You can watch people's eye movements and in a way that you kind of can't hold and have that space in a traditional blockbuster. And it makes these there's something to be learned from that. It makes these movies special.
Yeah, and I'll just say too, because this is our last Apes episode for now. Yeah, it's part of what you're saying about this franchise being dependable and good. It's like part of what makes the fandom so special. I think I always say that like us as podcasters, we're kind of like visitors into these different fandoms.
Yeah.
We get totally engrossed in it, like for, however many months. And I'm like, I know everything now about this franchise, but there are people who like, really that's their thing. Their whole life is apes. And those people have been incredibly welcoming to us as we've gone on this journey. We've had so many great guests associated with like Ape Mania and Hunter.
Some of my
Gottlieb.
favorite guests of all time.
Yeah, and they have been so open and great. And, even though these later movies, they're not necessarily the biggest fans of, but it is all kind of like under this same umbrella of this like really quality story. And it is really dependable, like you say, because like, I'm like a huge geek. I'll watch Marvel, Star Wars, but those franchises have let me down or whatever. But, I'm really grateful that we took this journey because now I'm like, this is like a cool new thing that I really love now and can see how it progresses.
So typically when we're reaching the end of a franchise, we maybe do a franchise ranking or something else like that. We're not going to do that. I think we've kind of talked about what we appreciate about this franchise.
They're all good. And then there's a huge like trench of of nothing. And then you got Tim Burton. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to say before we go, name the next movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, can I just say,
Yeah.
I thought War was misleading.
Yes.
7 years ago.
It's the war for Caesar's soul.
The War for Caesar's Soul.
Okay, so the War for Caesar's soul.
There is a war happening
Yeah.
in the background.
But the next, that's a good question.
Okay, we'll have to write these down too, so we can,
Let me take notes. I had a couple ideas.
Congressional Congress of the Planet of the Apes.
Congressional Congress. Okay. Congressional.
Requiem for the Planet.
Requiem. Ooh. I think that's the third.
That's a great one. I was going to say Fall of the Planet of the Apes is what I was going to say.
That's the third. I
my
think
gosh.
Triumph.
Ooh, Triumph. You're gonna go with the like the misnamed movie thing like they did with the last trilogy.
Correct. Collapse.
Collapse is good. Ooh.
I'll say Betrayal.
I was thinking about that too. All right.
And to be fair, I think that was the name of one of the pieced
the
together
60
ones. But I do think that
No one knows about those.
Yeah, I do think that it could work because if we
Congressional
do
Congress?
continue with May, like she already did betray Noah, but she's gonna do it worse.
Well, take a note from The Hobbit. How about Desolation?
I actually think like if I'm like thinking about what's going on, I wonder if May will have another turn where now that she's spent all this time with Noah,
She'll feel bad.
That she'll eventually like when it comes time to actually, whatever
Shoot
they're
him in
gonna
the
do,
face.
pull the trigger on killing the apes, she's gonna be like, but wait, they actually are interesting and have like that's what I think is going to
I
Maybe.
think that's going to be happening.
You go ahead and look on that bright side.
I will.
But also snort.
Snort? Well, I mean, if you're going to eventually come to a place where like maybe they're living in harmony, maybe.
Well, what about
I don't know.
Revenge?
But they
Revenge
don't,
of the Planet
but
of the
they
Apes?
don't.
Like Rocca's gonna come back
Well,
and be
they
like,
don't
she did
in
what?
That's the thing.
But those movies were
That's the thing. I think
the older movies were never about trying to live in
I
harmony.
think that the worst thing
The
the
new
these
ones
movies could
were.
do is sync up perfectly.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
don't
Like,
want that.
the old movies were never about anyone trying to live in harmony with the humans.
Sure.
Like,
No.
Caesar, the whole story of Caesar was
Well-
him like wanting to be able to coexist. Like, why can't they coexist?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I feel like
It's about the
if you're gonna
tension.
if you're gonna eventually come to a happy ending, then you gotta have
Happy
something like
ending
that.
of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh my god.
Happy ending. They're not gonna. Yeah, I was like, they're not. I don't think they're gonna be like, all the humans are dead now and the apes are fine.
Well, we had the dawn. We could have the twilight as well.
Ooh, Twilight.
Yeah.
Okay, those are all great ideas. I wrote them all down.
Okay, great. Westball, contact us.
Yeah, I do
In
think
between your Zelda movie.
Yeah. Let us know about your Amaze Runner ideas.
they did. They did say that it was reported in June 2022 that it was that this was planned as the first of a new trilogy,
Okay.
and Westball confirmed this in December 2023. since that it had been conceived from the beginning as a trilogy to fit into the legacy of the previous 3 films. So
We shall see what happens.
We shall see.
yeah, we shall see. But in the meantime, that's going to bring us to the end of our Apes coverage. Ooh, it's been so long.
It has
Single tier.
I know. We'll see you again in 3 years or whatever. I don't know. Who knows? These movies take a while to get made. But Hiko, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I was happy. It was great. Thank you.
Where is the best place for people to follow your work?
I am at the First Echo all over, basically.
Sweet. That's
and
so
that was
perfect.
that was an unintended pun for this episode.
That's so funny.
I am the First Echo out on Instagram and my website, thefirstecho.com. So check me out.
And just again, Hiko is an Emmy Award winner.
Yeah,
So-
and I'd like to clarify, he doesn't smell bad.
No.
Yeah, unlike the
Unlike
echoes.
the other echoes.
That's right. That's right. I was like, did one of our guests smell bad?
No, I'm talking about how
That was
Nova.
where my mind first went, like, which guest
Yeah,
smelled bad?
totally forgot that.
All right, well, that's the end of Apes. And, like Tyler's been saying at the start of all these episodes, we got some check-ins coming in. We
sure do.
And immediately next week, we are going to be finishing up Chucky Season 3. So we're going to be watching the last few episodes. Part 2, we'll be going through that next week.
Indeed. But we need to know where we should go after that. So email us suggestions at sequelrights@gmail.com or leave us a comment on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube.
Or message David Zaslav directly and demand more animated Mortal Kombat films.
Ooh.
Yes!
Because we
Oh
want
my
to cover
God.
those.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
And keep animation alive. That's up to you, our listener.
And
Yeah.
review and rate and subscribe.
Only you.
Nope, Zaslav.
Okay. All right.
Only you. All right. Well, as we like to do nowadays, we have to leave you with a very special partially AI generated song. This week's song is called Eagle Clan Life with a Y, of course. And it's in the style of powerful bluegrass. So just imagine what that's going to be like. But I will say that this one, I wrote all the lyrics. The music is all AI. I hope you guys enjoy it. It's going to play right now at the end, and we'll see you guys next week for Chucky Season 3 Part 2.
Song goes out to all those bird-loving apes in the Eagle Clan. When you got problems in your formerly idyllic ape life, there's only one thing left to do. Sick a bird on 'em. If your dad's up in your face, sick a bird on 'em. Some apes burn down your whole place, sick a bird on 'em. And echoes steal your blanket, sick a bird on 'em. Sing a song to your bird and it will follow your word. Flying here, dive on it there. Bring me fish on command, we're the Eagle Clan. An orangutan who can be freaking you out, sick a bird on 'em. A human smelling up your fire pit, sick a bird on 'em. Freaky striped horse in your path, sick a bird on 'em. Oh, sick a bird on 'em. Sick a bird on 'em. Oh, sick a bird on 'em. Freaky striped horse in your path, sick a bird on 'em. Sick a bird on 'em, sick a motherfucking bird on 'em. Trevitan invited you, it's toga party, no. Bird go attack, attack. Proxus Caesar having a wonderful day. Sick a bird on 'em, Novo May suddenly has a lot to say. Sick a bird on 'em. Apes strong together, we'll see about that. Sick a bird on 'em. Sing a song to your bird and it'll follow your word. Flying here, dive bombing there. Bring me fish on command, we're the Eagle Clan. Sing a song to your bird and it will follow your word. Flying here, dive bombing there. Bring me fish on command, we're the Eagle Clan. You better hold on to that damn bird. Your son is important. Eagle Clan for life, y'all.